They called me a murderer. They said I killed the man I loved for money. Diogo was not just my husband, he was my home, my partner whom I had shared so many years with. When I received the news of his accident, my world seemed to collapse in an instant. I couldn't believe it, couldn't accept that he was gone so suddenly. But before I could even begin to hold back my pain and grief, I was faced with an even harsher reality. They pointed their fingers at me. She sabotaged his car. She wanted his life insurance. It was all planned. The internet showed no mercy, no need for evidence, just a story to spread. Within just a few hours, my name was tied to that of a cold-hearted traitor, someone who only exploited love and others' suffering. But no one asked me what that night was really like. No one cared about the tears I shed or the pain I endured facing the greatest loss of my life. All they knew were rumors and hasty judgments. And throughout that time, I couldn't say a word, couldn't defend myself. It was like a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. If you find this story interesting, please leave a comment with the number 1. If not, leave a comment with the number 0. Don't forget to like, share the video, and share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exciting videos. Now, let's begin the story together. Today, for the first time, I'm speaking out to share everything that happened that day, what they made up, and what no one knows yet. In this video, you'll hear my story, the real story, because behind all the headlines and scandal, there's a truth that still hasn't come to light. I've stayed silent for far too long, and today I can't stay silent any longer. This isn't just about me, it's about what I've been through, and what I believe people deserve to know. None of us deserve to be judged without the chance to speak and tell the truth. Everything began before the accident, but what happened that night changed my life forever. No one can truly understand the pain of losing the person you love, your partner, your best friend. But what came after was even worse. I didn't just lose Diogo. I lost everything we had built together. Everything fell apart in one night. Not just emotionally, but my reputation, my future, the life I had dreamed of. It all vanished. Everything had been planned for a quiet evening. Diogo had just finished a long day of training, and I was home with our son enjoying a peaceful night, just like so many others before. We had argued the night before, a silly fight like any other in a relationship. But that afternoon, he texted me, "When I get home, let's talk calmly. I love you." That message, those gentle, loving words, became the last I ever received from him. Just before 10 p.m., I got the call. They told me Diogo's car had lost control going around a curve and slammed into a concrete wall. The crash was horrific, something I still can't fully imagine. He died at the scene, instantly. There was no chance to save him. There was no ambulance, no time, just a silence that felt eternal. In the hours that followed, all I could feel was a pain that cut through my chest, leaving me completely numb. But when I looked at my phone, I saw something even more terrifying than death itself. Hundreds of messages, rumors, and posts implying that I had something to do with what happened. She knew the car had issues. The feeling was unbearable, like being tortured by lies I couldn't even begin to disprove. The whole world rushed to judge me without giving me a chance to speak to defend myself or to say the one thing that mattered: I was innocent. Looking back now, I realize that my silence all this time was the only thing that helped me survive. But today, I don't want to stay silent anymore. I want people to see the truth. I want the lies to stop defining me. Diogo deserves to be remembered for all the good he brought into this world, not as a character in some false story created to destroy me. And why would someone buy a multi-million-dollar insurance policy right at this moment? It all fits together too perfectly. No one wants to hear the simpler truth. Diogo had mentioned several times that his car was making strange noises. He took it in for a checkup just 3 days before. The mechanic said there was nothing serious, that he could keep driving it. Diogo wasn't reckless, but he wasn't paranoid either. If someone told him everything was fine, he would believe it. The preliminary accident report confirmed a mechanical failure, but the internet didn't want to hear that it wanted villains. I couldn't sleep that night. I sat in front of my phone reading everything. People were making up entire theories that I tampered with a part of the car causing the crash, that it was all a cold, calculated plan for me to steal their assets. A Reddit user even posted supposed insurance documents. None of the documents were real, but the damage was done. They asked why I didn't cry in public, why I didn't give interviews. They judged me for staying home, for not posting funeral photos. Everything I did or didn't do was twisted into proof of my guilt. But the question no one asks is why these theories appeared so quickly. Who benefits from tearing me down? Because while I was facing the worst day of my life, someone else was already building their own story. And I'm not the one writing that story. The first serious posts about the alleged sabotage of Diogo's car didn't come from the media. They came from users on forums like Reddit and X. Before Twitter even existed, an anonymous account uploaded a blurry photo of what looked like a burnt wire with the caption, "Someone deliberately cut it." No further explanation, but that was enough. Within less than 48 hours, several conspiracy theory YouTubers shared their own theories that the accident wasn't an accident, that the car's brake system had been tampered with, that it was all tied to a multi-million-dollar insurance contract, and of course, that I was the sole beneficiary. It didn't matter that there was no evidence or that expert reports hadn't even been released. What mattered was the story, and every story needs a villain. I became a trending topic. Some channels even hinted that I had hired a mechanic to tamper with the car myself. Others claimed Diogo was trying to distance himself from me and that I threatened him. None of it was backed by proof, but there were thousands of views and comments. Recordings even started circulating, clips taken out of context from our private conversations, things that should never have left our home, edited to look like threats. The trial was public, and I didn't even have a lawyer. The hardest part wasn't seeing my face in thumbnails with headlines like "Football's Black Widow," but that some people close to me began to doubt me. Friends stopped writing. Family members looked at me differently, as if my being alive meant I was guilty. The media didn't help. Though many didn't directly accuse me, they repeated what was said on social media, giving it an air of credibility. Anonymous sources claimed an investigation was underway. Empty cliches only deepened the suspicion. I knew the official report would take weeks, but no one was willing to wait. They had already chosen their story, and I was the perfect villain. But there was still something left unsaid. Diogo was very worried in the days leading up to the incident. He received strange messages. He made 2 private phone calls he didn't want to discuss, and he even considered not going out that night. He was being threatened. He had enemies. Was it really a mechanical failure, or was someone forcing him out that day? Because if someone pushed him to his death, it wasn't the car. It was manipulation. And the question is, who is the real mastermind behind all of this? The most repeated theory is always the same, that I killed Diogo for money, that I planned everything, a multi-million-dollar insurance policy, a will in my favor, an inheritance that would make me a millionaire overnight. The truth is, the life insurance did exist, yes, but it wasn't my idea. If you enjoyed this story and want to learn more, don't forget to like, share the video, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss more exciting videos. Now, let's continue the story together. Diogo was the one who signed the insurance policy as recommended by the club many months before the accident. It was a standard policy mandatory for all First Division players, nothing unusual, nothing personal. And yes, I was listed as the beneficiary, just like many other wives in similar situations. That's not a secret, nor is it evidence. But for some people, that was enough to turn me into a suspect. I was questioned over something completely legitimate. Because my name was on the policy, people said I had a motive. But what they didn't mention was that his will had been made over 3 years earlier, before our son was even born. Everything was arranged to protect me, our child, and our home, including the house joint bank accounts, the normal things in a family life with a clear plan. There was nothing unusual, nothing shady, nothing illegal. But that didn't stop the rumors from spreading. Some people claimed Diogo had changed his will just days before he died, that he had made suspicious moves in his personal accounts. They even suggested that I pressured him into signing questionable documents. None of these accusations had a single piece of evidence behind them, yet they were shared as if they were undeniable facts. One website even went as far as publishing a completely false number for the inheritance. They claimed I received 12 million euros within 72 hours of his death. A lie. The truth is, most of Diogo's assets were frozen immediately after his passing as part of standard legal procedure. No one could access them, no one could transfer anything, and absolutely no one profited from such a tragedy, especially not me. There were even rumors that Diogo had bought luxury items right before he died, an expensive watch, a new car for me. But no one bothered to check the purchase dates. No one cross-checked the data. Those items had been bought months earlier, completely unrelated, yet dragged in to support a narrative people had already decided to believe. Because when it comes to money, people are quick to abandon logic. The story about money is always appealing. It's easy to understand. It has motive winners, losers. It makes everything feel artificially clear. If there's money, then there must be motive. And if there's motive, then it couldn't have just been an accident. That's how I got trapped in a story already written not with facts, but with bias and a hunger for judgment. No one talks about what I truly lost. No one mentions the debts I was left with after Diogo died. No one talks about the mortgage, the medical expenses for our son that were once covered by the club's insurance, now gone. No one asks how we've managed to survive since every door closed on us. Because my grief doesn't make headlines the way money does. No one mentions that the money didn't even arrive in time to pay for the funeral. No one talks about how some media outlets offered me hundreds of thousands for exclusive interviews to tell my tear-filled story. I turned them all down. But of course, saying that I was left alone in the middle of a financial and emotional crisis doesn't generate any clicks. And while everyone was busy talking about millions of dollars, I was trying to explain to my son that his father wasn't coming back. What hurt me the most wasn't being accused of what I supposedly gained, it was that no one ever asked about what I had lost. And when I finally tried to speak up about it, things only got worse. When the accusations became unbearable, I decided to go public. Not because I wanted attention, but because I needed to defend myself. The first thing I did was hire a lawyer. He told me something I'll never forget. You're being judged in a lawless court, and innocence won't save you on social media. He was right. We held a press conference. I prepared a written statement. I spoke with a trembling but steady voice. I explained everything, the insurance, the will, the technical report on the accident. I even brought evidence-certified documents, forensic expert reports, copies of illegally obtained medical records, but no one listened. The media cut me off mid-sentence and ran headlines like, "Diogo's wife cries, in self-defense a confession or an act." It all came down to one image, a crying woman, either guilty or a victim, but never just a person. The reaction was even worse. They said it was a performance, that I was manipulating emotions, that if I were innocent, I wouldn't need to speak. And if I spoke, it must be out of fear. They called me cold calculating. And then when I cried, they said I was faking it. So I chose silence. I blocked social media, turned off my phone, stopped reading the news, but even that didn't help. They created new versions of the story using my silence as proof and twisting every gesture, every decision I made into signs of guilt. My lawyer advised me to wait for the official report. I did. And when the report was finally released, everything was clear. There was no evidence of foul play. It was a failure in the master brake cylinder, a part that had corroded over time. The report stated it could have happened at any moment, but by then no one cared about the truth. The hardest part has been the isolation. Some family members stopped talking to me. They drifted away without a word. Mutual friends began avoiding me. It was as if their pain was contagious, as if they preferred to avoid me rather than confront their doubts. Some days I didn't want to get out of bed. Other days I cried myself to sleep, not out of guilt, but out of helplessness, because I had been robbed of the right to mourn in peace. But every morning I still have to wake up and smile at my son. He doesn't understand what's happening. All he knows is that his father is gone. He asks me when his dad will come home, and I have no words to explain that he never will, not ever. My defense isn't just legal, it's emotional. It's about my dignity, my truth, and my son. I'm not afraid that time will reveal what really happened. I fear that no one cares anymore, and while the world judged me through headlines, evidence was overlooked, evidence that was never brought to light, documents that could have changed everything, but for some reason were hidden away. The final accident report was clear. A failure in the master brake cylinder caused a total loss of control. It was a documented technical issue. No signs of external interference, no fingerprints, no traces of substances, no suspicious cuts. But for many, that's still not enough. The conspiracy theories didn't disappear. They just took on new forms. Some say the report was altered by the club's lawyers. Others claim he was paid off to cover up the truth. They call the so-called evidence proving my innocence a cover-up. The most frustrating part is that even though the report clears me, it raises new questions. Why didn't Diogo switch cars if he reported defects? Why did he go out that night if he felt unsafe? Where exactly was he going? And this is where the most troubling part arises: the last call Diogo received before leaving. A private call, not recorded under any known name. The call lasted less than a minute, and after it, he left the house. He didn't take a backpack or any belongings, just his keys and phone. My lawyer requested the records, but we were never given full access. Authorities said there wasn't enough evidence to open a criminal investigation. I tried to dismiss that thought, but my mind wouldn't let go. That call, it kept lingering in my head like an unsolved haunting. Who called him that night? What did they say? Was it a warning, a conspiracy, or just a coincidence? I no longer believe in coincidences, not after what we uncovered. We found an email sent to Diogo's personal inbox a few days before the accident. The message was vague, but filled with threats. Beneath the polite words lay a reminder that a mistake would come at a steep price. What sent chills down my spine was the sender's address, a completely new account with no interactions, no friends, no followers, yet still there, silent like a ghost waiting for the right moment. We decided to review the security cameras along the street where the collision occurred. There were 3 cameras installed at key intersections. In theory, all 3 should have captured the moment, but only one was working. The other 2 showed technical errors precisely at the time of the accident. Some might call it coincidence, but in a chain of events this suspiciously aligned, I see nothing but deliberate setup. It didn't stop there. There was also an electronic invoice, a receipt for a routine technical inspection that Diogo's car never actually underwent. The record showed it was paid for. But the truth is, on that day, Diogo wasn't driving. In fact, the car was still parked in the garage. Someone deliberately tampered with the car's technical records. What was the purpose? Why fabricate an event that never happened? We presented bank documents proving there were no unusual transactions around that time. We also had messages between Diogo and his agent discussing contract renewal. A person about to sign on for several more years with the club had no reason to walk away from it all. Besides, there were loving, sincere messages between me and him showing no signs of separation or conflict. Yet everything we presented was ignored. People didn't want the truth. They only wanted a story that was easy to believe and spread. One media outlet reported that I had a criminal record in another country. False. Another claimed that Diogo had broken up with me days before the accident. Also untrue. But once the rumors spread, no one bothered to verify them. No one shared the corrections with the same enthusiasm as they did the accusations. I began to realize something, perhaps the hardest truth I've learned through all of this. Once the public decides to point a finger at someone, they don't need evidence. When a tragedy happens, they're no longer seeking justice. They want a story that can be turned into a spectacle, something that grabs their attention. People don't truly want to know what happened. They just want to consume other people's emotions, then move on as if the pain never existed. But there's one thing I've kept to myself, something I've never told anyone. 2 nights before he left, Diogo and I had a long conversation. In that quiet moment, he said something to me that I didn't understand at the time. It felt strange. But after he was gone, I realized maybe he knew. Maybe he was trying to say something to warn me or to prepare me for what was coming. And when I recall those words, everything starts to make more sense. But it also hurts so much more. Just one sentence, one warning, one seemingly small decision. But sometimes those things can change everything. If only it had come sooner. If only I had understood its true meaning in that moment. But it didn't happen, and so I've held on to this story until now, because I need you to hear it all before understanding the most important thing I'm about to say. 2 nights before the accident, we sat together on the balcony. No music, no whispers. Just the quiet glow of the city lights and a heavy silence. Diogo sat beside me, his eyes fixed on the night sky, as if listening to something I couldn't feel. I turned to him and asked, "What are you thinking about?" He was silent for a long moment, then gently said, "There are things I can't tell you right now," he said, his eyes never leaving the sky. "But whatever happens, I want you to know that I trust you." I didn't understand. I thought he was worried about work, the club, the future. Maybe the pressure of the new season or an unfinished deal. I didn't press him. I let it pass. A mistake I will never forget. Now looking back on that moment, I can't stop thinking that he was trying to tell me something, a sign, a message. Maybe he sensed something was coming, something I couldn't see. and now every word he said echoes in my mind. That sentence is no longer vague, it's proof that he knew, or at least suspected. But when everything came crashing down, the truth never got a chance to be heard. Sensational headlines, bitter accusations thrown around without a second thought. They didn't need evidence, they just needed a story, a name to blame. And I became the easiest target. A grieving woman who didn't break, so they assumed I must be hiding something. I'm not telling this story to ask for pity. I don't want anyone's sympathy. I tell it because I deserve to speak the truth. Because behind those headlines is a real person, a woman who lost everything yet is accused of wanting it all. They took away my reputation, my life, and even the last good memories I had of him. I don't have all the answers. Maybe I'll never know exactly what happened. But this I know: I did not betray him. I loved him with everything I had. And I believe his death was not a crime, it was a tragedy, a cruel event that should never have happened. Yet people chose to turn it into a cheap drama. When you lose the one you love, the world shouldn't turn its back on you. But I faced isolation prejudice and the media's bloodthirstiness. They didn't ask me anything, they only judged. I tried to present evidence to tell the truth, but people didn't want to hear the truth. They only wanted confirmation of what they already believed. And if you're still listening to me, I am truly grateful, because you are one of the few who chose to listen instead of condemn. Before I finish, I just want to ask you one thing. Do you think it was an accident or something else? If you believe this story deserves to be heard, don't forget to like, share the video, and leave your thoughts in the comments below to let us know. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss other exciting videos. Thank you for watching until the end, and see you in the next videos.